everyone, welcome to PommyInOz. Hope we're all doing really well. Let's get straight into it. The new intro seems to be liked. So what we're doing, St Kilda versus Carlton. It's a big game. It's a big one in this family as well. Pom's not very well. He's full of whatever it is. And yeah, it's the St Kilda. It's the Mr. Pom versus Mrs. Pom game. And let's have a look at the backstory. Carlton, obviously, 10-4. Finals well on the agenda. Currently 5th on the ladder. Times are good to be a Blue. They'll feel real confident going into this one, particularly after last week, where they really did show a massive turnaround from the week before, really implementing the forward pressure, amplified by them 17 tackles inside 50, which resulted in 15 turnovers, resulted in multiple rebound inside 50s. Carlton really did respond in an area that I think is the most important. We talk about the source a lot, which we know Carlton do dominate. Obviously, you know, one of the top sides in the comp around stoppages and clearances. But the main thing there was really how Carlton really implemented that pressure in the forward half of the ground, which really allows them to reset and defend the transition. On the other hand, St Kilda, they started off really well. Currently, at the moment, they are 8-6. And it's a real case of the old saying, the tale of two halves, isn't it? We hear that a lot. And for a side that was ranked number 1 in the AFL at scoring inside 50, they are now bottom 2. They're 17th. And what you've really found with St Kilda is, as a high kick side, they are one of the top marking sides, just incidentally behind us for marks. It's a very short, sharp kicking style that really requires getting it uncontested, getting it out wide and creating angles. And that is something that sides now really have stopped St Kilda doing, really making them go into contested inside 50s, really making them stagnate and really making them not be able to spread. And that is a big thing. A big thing for Ratton this week is really trying to get that pressure up. They were one of the top pressure sides. It's something that is synonymous with Ratton when he first came in. And that is a big issue for him. They have fallen away, one of the least forward pressure-based teams at the moment. They're rivaling Northern Eagles for what their pressure indicators are saying, which is a real huge thing for Carlton, because this next 3-week block for the Blues, they have got a real great crash course in really refining their weakness, which has been caught on transition, and it's when we start to see the boys go in their shell and start to overuse the ball instead of being direct. And they'll have 3 weeks now, last week, this week, and next week, where they can really be a big boy and a bully and really take it. But they're the backstories of the side and a lot to play out. Hey you! Are you subscribed or are you a returning PommyInOzer? Good day if you're a returning PommyInOzer. Just to let you know, please hit the like button, smash that subscribe button. It's road to 3K. We're trying to get there before the end of the season. We're well on track. You can go a step further as well. In the link in the comments, if you are on iOS, you have to click it. You can become a member of the channel. We sponsor Domaku. We sponsor Shannon Gore. We give back to the community, and it really does help the content channel out as well. It really does help sustain a lot of things. So if that's something you want to do, no obligation, please do it. Good day if you are returning PommyInOz there. Back to the video though, and enjoy. Much love. The selection then. Well, I mean, with the selection for Carlton, there is 3 huge ins potentially for them. The first one is Jacob Whittaker. We know how important Whittaker is. The open training session's just gone on. He was a big full part of that. Could be a huge one for Carlton, that in. Because even though they've survived without him, they're a lot better with him. And a big case there is, if you actually look at Carlton in the Collingwood game, they dominated that third of the ground, that final third of the ground, when they tried to transition the ball. And what Carlton do really well is them 2 lines of forward defence force the opposition to kick to space. You saw it multiple times with Freo. A few kicks out of deliberate, a few kicks out on the full from the back pocket. Carlton do that, and that is Whittaker's area. And at the moment, Carlton are deploying TDK and Young as that stopper. However, Carlton would prefer to have Whittaker in and Young in that position and then use TDK as that floater, which he did impeccably well through rounds 7 and 9 before he got hurt. Before Whittaker got hurt. Huge in for them. Another one as well, which will really excite Owens, and that's Owens just watching last week's 17. The number 1 inside 50 tackler in the comp, Matty Owens. He gets a lot of stick from people, but under a goal a game, but them tackles are huge. Them tackles are huge, and that'll be something that Owens will have watched, and he won't be carrying the can, which he often does for Carlton. Owens could be a huge one here because that is a huge issue for Saints at the moment, transitioning the football. And also for Carlton, a huge in is Libbojrjr. And we saw the first 2 games that he missed. They really missed him. Fisher really stepped up into that role and Carlton deployed him as that. But he's the real metronome of how they work around stoppages. He's really charged with taking that ball and giving it some tempo. And Carlton have real specific roles inside their stoppages. And we saw how good Walsh is. We talked last week in the preview. He's doubling back around stoppages and making himself free, playing that almost Sam Mitchell role. Libbojrjr is a huge part of that because he allows them to go another way and look and hit up a runner. Maybe Sard, Big Wolf coming through. Doc, on the other hand, coming through. And particularly the wings. And this is why you saw the guy in the picture there, O'Brien and Cottrell, really play well. Cottrell deployed at high half forward for a lot of the game. O'Brien really getting into these stoppages and getting the ball out and spreading. Libbojrjr is a huge part of Carlton's spread. I don't suspect any huge changes for St Kilda. They haven't really got anyone coming in, but I'd imagine that they'll probably back their system in. It could be a surprise for Carlton because you never know. But depending on how it goes, Ryder was managed last week. I do expect him to come in here because I do expect them to think that they can punish Carlton with TDK, even though TDK has been phenomenal. I'd imagine they bring Brad Hill out. He was out last week for personal reasons. And I do think that they may go with Tom Highmore. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Ben Long. Will they keep him in for that forward pressure? He wasn't particularly spectacular last week. But will Tom Highmore come in? I think that they will look at trying to find something they can do with transition, and Highmore is very good at that. He's a very good user of the ball. So that may see someone like Pat and Sharman come out, and depending on if they want to drop Ben Long, who was deployed quite as a pressure forward last week, I don't know. But that could be a bold choice. But I would predict Ryder Hill come in, Patton and Sharman come out, and Carlton and St Kilda attack Carlton that way. Keys to winning then for St Kilda is really trying to get that ball out wide and create the angles for Max King. That is what they do well, and they really look to go fast, get the ball moving. And at the moment in recent weeks, it's almost become very stagnated, and that's what teams have done. Carlton are very good at funneling your ball movement, and that is something that they will have to do. But the keys to winning for St Kilda are really getting that ball out wide, creating that avenue for Max King and Tim and Membry to really run into, and creating angles and leading lanes for them to run into. Carlton, their keys to winning is do what they do. They expect to win the dominance round here. That has been a real issue, really, for St Kilda. They haven't really looked very strong. They're ranked bottom half for clearances per game and stoppage clearances. Carlton will look to exploit that avenue and get first use of the football. St Kilda can definitely win this game, but for them, they're going to have to really jump because at the moment their inside 50s have become stagnated, their ball movement is, and their pressure just isn't there, ranking in the bottom 5 for tackles. So they're going to have to really up the ante, because if this becomes a fight, Carlton will win this one all day long. What will happen if? Well, what will happen if that gentleman in the screen there, Jack Steele, has anything to say about it? He does have a history with Cripper, and Cripper kind of gets distracted and wants to have that arm wrestle. It's about the spread here. Whoever can spread better from stoppages and clearances. Carlton at the moment, the form book suggests they will, and that is what they want to do. For St Kilda, they want to do that. They want to get that ball wide. They want to create that avenue and really look for it. The big thing for them is that they play a very unusual inside 50 defensive structure, where forward 50 structure, where they look to really put the pressure on at full forward, and then they flood the outside of the back and try and encourage short ball movement and a lot of touches inside your own D50. That is a disaster if you do that against Carlton, because their primary ball users are there in the names of Doc and Sard. And if that happens, Carlton will absolutely walk out of rebound 50 very easy and look to transition. Something Carlton ranked very highly in the last 6 rounds, and they ranked very poorly. For me, St Kilda, a miracle needs to occur. They need to go from all their leading stats and really rise. A lot has been talked about they will respond. They didn't respond against Essendon. They certainly didn't respond last week. 3-loss run. Really, finals is looking impossible now when you look at their draw. So they're going to have to really focus on that. Carlton, on the other hand, they just have to do what they do. Carlton will control the football. Carlton will be looking to really implement that pressure. And one thing that has shown with St Kilda, even when they were playing well, is when you get a run on against St Kilda, they go into their shells and retract. On paper, this is maybe a danger game. I hate using that phrase. I don't believe in such things as danger games. This season has shown all 18 sides on their day, if you're slightly off the ball, can lose. Carlton, on the other hand, flying at the moment with the potential ins, even if only 2 of them of the 3 come in. Carlton will be G'd, but at the moment, they are a real football side, and St Kilda shouldn't bother them, particularly with the lack of pressure they're implementing. Carlton can control the game, start well. This game should be one-sided. I'm going with Carlton by 25 plus. Let me know what you think in the comments. Structurally, this game should be a very foregone conclusion. Obviously, you've got to go into it with an element of respect, but Carlton will know if they play their way, St Kilda can't match them. They are a class apart. Until next time, much love. See you tonight for the live stream with Faz, our first one. Can't wait to see you all there. See your teams tomorrow and the watch along. Stay safe.